What if A Court of Silver Flames isn't just Nesta's redemption arc? What if it's Sarah J. Maas closing one chapter of Prythian and quietly setting fire to the next?
Because this book splits the fandom like no other. Some readers call it too angry, too long, too different. Others say it's the most honest, raw, and earned story in the entire ACOTAR series.
Today, we're doing our final ACOTAR episode. We are recapping Silver Flames, unpacking our reactions to Nesta, Cassian, and the Valkyries. We're placing our bets on ACOTAR 6 predictions.
Spoilers are ahead. Feelings may be hurt, and we are getting into it.
All right, so we kick off the book with Nesta being deeply depressed and traumatized after the events during the war that happened in ACOTAR. And she decides to cope with this by basically drinking and just absolutely screwing her way through Valaris. And how does she do this? She's bankrolled by Rhysand's coppers. Literally, she is pulling up tabs like nobody would possibly believe. And the inner circle is like, enough of this. So they pull her into basically a culty intervention. It's like Amren, Rhys, Cassian. Who else is there? Is that it? I think that's it.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. They're all interchangeable.
So they all pull her into this intervention at the River House, Feyre and Rhysand's new beautiful sweeping estate. I can't even call it a mansion. It's a full estate. And it's basically like the new townhouse. And this is where everyone like converges and hangs out. And they declare that she is to start training with Cassian every day at Windhaven, which is in the Illyrian camp. And she's going to work in the library. And she is going to stay at the House of Wind. And she is not going to be allowed to come down to Valaris unless one of them deems her okay to, or one of them goes and gets her.
Yeah.
So this part was tough. It was a tough kickoff. First of all, Nesta's kind of out of her mind at this point. And it was an interesting POV switch too from Feyre. Like I actually felt refreshed by that aspect because I was like, okay, like we're into someone who is raw and real and she's in a dark place. Like I am ready for this. But I remember the first time reading this and it was like kind of jarring.
I also was not prepared, I don't think, for the POV switch of like seeing the inner circle from the outside. And like, I don't know if I liked them so much.
No, it was tough seeing them from a narrator who like clearly fucking hates all of them.
Yeah. And I kind of started hating them too. Like when they sat her down for this intervention, they were like kind of talking down to her. And I was like, why are you all so high and mighty?
Right. Like she 100% needed a kick in the ass. Like I fully supported the notion of like, you need to be taken out of this scenario entirely. But I don't see why like Rhys needed to be there, why Amren needed to be there. Like it was very clear that they were just like kind of gaining up on her. Yeah. And I really did not like that.
No, me either.
So Nesta is obviously pissed about this. Like she is baring her teeth at literally everyone. She's about to slit Feyre's throat. Feyre's like sitting there just like gulping down her saliva, just like trying to keep her back straight. Cassian's like, oh shit, like I'm in charge of this girl. Godspeed to me. So they put her in her asylum in the House of Wind and she's not happy about it. She basically for like a couple of days just like stews on how much she hates everyone and how sad she is for herself. And I did struggle with this part because she was like, so I am the victim and I am hurt and everyone needs to feel sorry for me. And that was tough to read.
Yeah, while being in like a mansion that's like very cozy and like providing her 5-course meals. Like life could be worse, Nesta.
Yeah, and like the whole threat to her was that like if she didn't do these things, like she would literally be sent back to the human lands.
The threat was low-key like she had to get her own job and pay her own bills, and she was like, horror! The horrors!
It was giving like trust fund baby being like cut off.
Yeah, it was tough, but you start to understand.
Yeah, I guess. I'm saying this is a Nesta lover, by the way. Like,
same.
I love her, but I didn't have a lot of sympathy for her at this moment. Like, I was like, you kind of need to like suck it the fuck up. Like, this is insane.
Yeah.
So, meanwhile, all this is happening, and Cassian not only gets promoted to babysitter of Nesta, but he gets promoted to courtier. Reese is like, is that how you say courtier?
Courtier, yeah, of course.
Courtier.
How else?
Reese basically says, you have been promoted. And he's like, you need to go figure out what's happening in the human lands with these fucking queens who no one knows what their deal is. Moore is in this area called Valhalla, and we don't know what she's doing there. She's also trying to figure out what their deal is, but we don't get much detail on it because everyone's nervous that without this treaty signed, that basically like someone is going to step up and like try to just fuck everything up, and they're like exposing themselves to a potential war.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, they're having this conversation. Cassian notes, I could not stop laughing at this part. There's like a portrait of Thera that's like right behind Reese's desk so that it looks like she's like watching over him.
I hate them so much.
This is when I knew that I was done with them.
Yeah. 100%.
I was like, I can't. So as a part of these duties, Cassian has to start interacting with Eris because Eris, as we remember, is Lucien's brother, who has been like duping his dad, Baron, because they've learned through Azriel's spies that Brialyn, one of the queens, has basically run out all of the other queens and is somehow working on trying to find the cauldron to get her youth back, since she was technically made from the cauldron. And I strive to honestly be as vain as this queen is. I'm like, the fact that you are going to the ends of the earth to get your youth back. It was stolen from you.
Is that why she wanted to go in the cauldron in the first place? Because she wanted to be pretty, or she wanted to be fae too?
She wanted to be fae. But then she came out and the cauldron made her like super old.
An old crow.
She's an old crow.
Beggars can't be choosers, Brialyn.
Brialyn, you can't have your cake and eat it too. But she doesn't believe that. So the inner circle thinks that she might actually be working with Baron. So they need Eris for intel. And as this is all happening, Cassian is starting to show a lot of insecurity, and he's like really starting to doubt himself. And this becomes like kind of a prominent theme throughout the book, where people just like really call him just like a warrior brute, and like he's like a bastard born brute, and he's just like stupid and whatever, and like we don't agree, but Cassian really feels that way, which is sad.
Cassian is taking Nesta to the Illyrian war camp to do training with all of the other women. That there's like that agreed upon situation where they all get to train for 2 hours a day, and I think we all knew this, and Cassian probably knew this as well. Nesta was not about to train in the cold dirt with the rest of the Illyrians. So after like a few days of their training going nowhere, she starts like wandering off of the Illyrian camp and runs into that little shop that we were introduced to in the novella where Emery is running, and she meets Emery and they kind of have like a little bit of a connection, like a little friendship spark, which is very cute because Nesta doesn't have a lot of friends right now.
She has no friends.
And then she kind of like walks out of the store and you wonder, wow, that was cute. When are we going to go back? We'll remember her. So when she gets back to the camp, Cassian kind of finally comes to terms with the fact that he knows that Nesta is not going to fight in front of a bunch of warriors that could make fun of her, embarrass her, and that she needs some private training. And so he decides to take her training to the roof at the House of Wind, and it's more of like a one-on-one training situation, which we did love him because he was being like very empathetic, and we love an empathetic king.
We love that. His ability to just pick up on cues that she is giving in the subtlest way. Like on the outside, to anyone looking who like isn't trying to look deeper, she looks insane. But to him, he's like, oh, I should have thought of this. And it's just it's so beautiful to watch.
Take notes, man. Like, please. Don't always just like force us into the box that works for you.
Yeah, please.
So another part of the deal is that in the afternoon, Nesta has to work in the library that's like below the House of Wind. And she runs into this priestess named Gwyn, who is a little bit different than the other priestesses that we are introduced to because she's not like quiet and meek and shy. Like she has a big bubbly personality. She's kind of silly. And she starts kind of like befriending Nesta as well. And you're like, oh, look at all these like budding friendships. Like this could be really good for Nesta. But they don't like necessarily go anywhere at first. But something about Gwyn is that she will always pop back up. So she's always going to check in on Nesta and they start to get closer. For example, one day Nesta's like too low in the library and a darkness from below starts to creep up on her. And Gwyn is the one that kind of like rescues her and tells her like where's safe in the library. Gwyn also explains to her that, like, her main job in the library is researching for this woman named Meryl, and what she's researching is this old female fighting troupe called the Valkyries, and they were all Fae, I believe, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, they were all Fae. It was an all-female fighting troupe, and they kind of went extinct at this battle where they all passed away, unfortunately, and the battle that they passed away at, it was like in a mountain passing, and where these women fell were the ground never grew back. And I don't know if you felt this way, Cassie, but I felt like it was in like direct correlation to when the 13 died in Throne of Glass.
Interesting.
You know how when they died, the like flowers grew where they all died? Yeah. It was like the opposite, but I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Some multiverse theorizing occurring already.
And I think that while you're listening to this recap, like you'll realize that this book has a lot more like across all 3 series than you probably originally clocked in the first read.
Agreed. So we come back to training and Nesta starts to inquire about why there are no female fighting units in the Illyrians. And so Cassian actually tells her about the Blood Rite and how you qualify for it and that no females have ever attempted it. And so she essentially out of this is like, well, fuck that, and decides that she's going to invite the priestesses to train with her to create kind of her own little form of a fighting unit, or just to like help them understand how to protect themselves and so that they can never be harmed again. And unfortunately, no one agrees to come.
It's such a hard landing.
She like checks the sign-up sheet every day. Like literally no one's coming. But Cassian, the sweet golden retriever man that he is, tells her really do not give up hope. Keep pushing. So one day out of nowhere, Elain shows up to check on Nesta. Elain has been like kind of like completely absent sister to Nesta this whole time. And they get into this massive fight that ends terribly. Nesta is pissed after this fight, and she decides that she's going to try and run down the 10,000 steps that lead from the House of Wind into Valaris. She gets about like 100 steps down and she's like, oh my god, I'm gonna fucking die. So she turns back around where she runs into Cassian at the top, and he's like, look, like, I understand why you got mad at that situation in that argument, and I get it. And she's like, oh my god, someone understands me. This ends up leading into our first steamy moment between these two. They make out against the wall, and of course, Nesta really has to go in for the kill and gives him an over-the-pants hand job. And he like immediately just ejaculates in his pants like he's 12. I was laughing so hard in this part because I was like, this man is easily like 300 pounds of muscle, like huge, has like these massive wings, is a general of an army, and he's just like finishing in 2 seconds from an OTPHJ.
He's been waiting for books and books for this moment. He's built it up in his head so much he was already prepared.
He's also like kind of sexually repressed because he was like, I have not been in a woman in like 2 years.
Yeah.
I think the second that anyone touched him, he was just going to blow realistically. So Azriel comes in and he's like, hey guys, sorry to interrupt, but we got to go to the river house because you're needed there. Poor Azriel. So they end up going down and they realize that everyone's learned that Brialyn is actually looking for something something called the Dead Trove. This is a collection of items that were created around the same time as the cauldron was, and they all hold these death powers, these powers that are greater than anyone could possibly understand. There are three pieces of the Dead Trove. The first is the mask, and this mask can raise the dead. Anyone who puts it on has the power of the undead at their disposal. The harp, which can open any door, physical or between worlds. And finally, the crown. And this allows its wearer to influence anyone. So literally, if I was wearing the crown, I could influence Emily to come to Denver without thinking about it. So
it's so crazy, though. It's so crazy because were you not at this point like, oh, the cauldron that can never be destroyed because the world would fall apart is not enough? We had to like add in more items?
I guess. I don't know. I feel like I like this like tease of these ancient powers that are at play, you know, because like the Fae are so old, they had these civilizations before them. Like it kind of makes sense that like the cauldron wouldn't just be like the end all be all to like the big power, you know?
Yeah. And of course, Nesta is the only one that can find these items because as they like to remind us, like calls to like, as they've said 5,000 times. But let us not forget that Elain was also made by the cauldron, and she's kind of like coming into her own a little bit in this book, and she's like, well, I'll go find them. But not everybody is really sold on that. Yeah. Not everybody's sold on her confidence yet, so they were like, just sit down.
She's also like, I might need a few days to collect my powers. They're like, no, like okay.
So Nesta's like, I guess I'm the only one. I'll do this. And she agrees to do the whole like scrying with the bones and stones again.
Yes, very witchy.
And a few things like happen in very quick succession after this. So while they're all together, Feyre decides to announce kind of in like small groups that she's pregnant and she's having a boy. And that's why like Rhys has supposedly been so irritated with everybody. I was like, okay. And then when they get back to the House of Gwyn, Cassian goes to Nesta's room to pay her back for that OTPHJ, goes down on her. She loves it. They agree to be friends with benefits.
That's right.
And then Nesta comes up with this little sneaky plot because she is tired of people not signing up for her training course. So she kind of like convinces Cassian to be called down to the library to give a little like live demonstration that the priestesses don't know about. And once they see it, Gwyn is her first signee.
That's right. After her and Cassian's Oscar-worthy performance, by the way. So, training continues with Gwyn involved, and after some pushing and prodding to Emery and some bribery also with gifts, Nesta ends up convincing her to come and train at the House of Wind as well. So the three gals end up kind of bonding over training, and Gwyn opens up to them and tells them that her mom had her and her twin during the Great Rite, and her father is actually a high fae, but she doesn't know who he is. Emery admits that her father actually was the one who clipped her wings. And so if you guys remember, in the previous book, it was very detailed that in Illyria, typically the women have their wings clipped so that they're not able to fly, which is fucked up. And then Nesta admits that she needs to scry. But she's scared.
The three ladies have found each other, and I think that this is the start of like an important story, but it's also the start of two very traumatized women and then Nesta being scared.
And then Nesta's champagne problems. So she gets some confidence from her two like legitimately traumatized best friends, and she decides to try the scrying. It does not go well, and that night she ends up having a horrific nightmare about the cauldron reaching her, and it takes Rhys holding her she basically like explodes, like her power explodes like to the point where the house is like waking Cassian and Azriel up because it's like holy shit, what's happening. Rhys ends up showing up, and he has to hold her powers back with his. Cassian has to like get into her mind to calm her down. I don't even think he does. I think he's just like literally screaming Nesta.
Shouting.
shouting at the top of his lungs. And after this episode, Cassian feels like he understands Nesta a little bit more and her trauma and asks Reese what her powers are. And Reese basically is like, they are pure death, and I am terrified of this woman.
And they are like, they show as silver flames, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
TM.
And so, TM, the book. We really learned what the book is about pretty early on.
Yeah.
So then after this, Nesta decides that she can try again, but she really needs some support this time around. And so she's actually successful in doing it at the river house, and she actually sees the mask in the bog of Orid that's located in the middle. This has been mentioned in other books, but the middle is just this kind of like no man's land where like magic is wild and no one governs it out of the like seven courts or whatever. And in the midst of all of this, we actually learn that Feyre's pregnancy is likely to end in death because the baby has wings.
Yeah. And I was really trying to remember how this baby was conceived, because they said that it was conceived when she was in Illyrian form, and that's why the baby has wings. Can you remember when that would have been?
I think it was just like a random time where
it was off camera. It was
off camera. It was under
closed
the table.
door.
Yeah. Closed door.
Okay, so now that they know that the bog is where they need to head, the trio of Cassian, Nesta, and Azriel decide to go to the bog, and they're like, oh, the mask will call to Nesta and she'll just like know where to go. But upon arrival, there is a group of autumn soldiers that are there that have actually been missing for a while that Eris has been looking for, and they seem to kind of be in like La La Land, like they have this trance over them. And they start to attack Cassian and Nesta and Azriel, which is weird because, you know, they're supposed to be on their side. Right. And so Cassian's like, Nesta, I have to leave you in this tree. Do not get down while we take care of these soldiers. It won't take us long. And of course, she gets down. I mean, it's only been like 30 minutes, and she's like, too much time, and gets out of the tree.
Well, she's panicking that something happened to Cassian. She's like, oh my God, what if he's dead?
Yeah, but
this is a part of her trauma from the war that she like saw him almost die.
Anyways, she gets down and, of course, walks towards the bog where you shall not go. And she realizes the mask must be in the bog because there's, like, something calling to her. So she's, like, 1 foot in this bog, and this creature comes out. And it's, like, a water wraith with razor-sharp teeth called a Kelpie. And the Kelpie grabs her by the foot and drags her into this bog and is, like, mauling and scratching her and, like, trying to make out with her.
I was so nauseous this entire part.
Well, also, she must have been nauseous as well because she, like, pissed her pants.
Yeah, I would too. I think I would actually just, like, stroke out and die, realistically.
Yeah, and at first I was like, okay, why did she have to pee her pants? But it did give a good visual of how terrifying this creature was.
100%.
So he takes her under the water, and she's like, I'm going to drown down here. But it's so weird. He keeps, like, giving her oxygen because we come to find out that they like to play with their food. So he's trying to, like, keep her alive longer to, like, mess with her. And while she's down there, she's seeing all these old bones and skulls from old soldiers because they used to be laid to rest in this bog. And amongst the bones are the mask. And she's like, you know, kind of in this like weird drowning headspace. And she like puts her arm out and the mask like flies to her hand. And she's like, never been more desperate. Let me put this on my face. Puts the mask on her face. And she immediately is able to call all of these dead beings up from the grave. And they attack the Kelpie. She emerges from the water, mask on face, and Kelpie scalp in hand, and Cassian and Azriel are just like on the shore like, holy fucking shit, what did we start?
I loved this part for so many reasons. First of all, that Nesta's just beheading everyone that she kills. I'm like, why is her move form? Why is this your signature style? That's second, so I loved that the like impetus for her like getting the mask was like, I will never be taken advantage of again. I will never be helpless again. I will never be in a scenario where I feel like I cannot do anything about
Yeah.
my fate. And this is where, like, she talks about the fact that, like, her old boyfriend, Tom, like, tried to take advantage of her, like, all of these things. And so
Yeah.
I did really like that. And it felt like a really nice turning point for her where it was like, okay, this is the moment where I really understand what it takes to, like, take care of myself and step up for myself.
Right. And it's a big theme in this whole book with her. The priestess is like, we are never going to be victims again.
Yeah.
And to your point, this is where she decided now is the time.
Goodbye, Kelpie. Give me your head.
But also, like, I could not stop thinking of this mask as like one of those LED red light masks that everybody wears.
Yeah.
What do you think it actually looked like?
I think that it might actually be similar because I was thinking of it as like a mask, like an armored mask. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And like, I feel like that kind of looks like a red light mask.
Yeah, with like the eye slits.
Yeah.
Once I was actually being realistic, I was assuming maybe it's like gold and like shiny because it's a trove, like a treasure trove.
Yeah. I guess so.
I
This
don't know.
part also was really starting to give me like when Harry Potter, they like go look for the Horcruxes.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this is Horcruxes vibe. They're
Which
like really trying to track all of these down.
I do love a little bit of that, like a little like side quest.
Oh yeah, it's the best. It's the
Yeah.
best. So Nesta, Cassian, and Azriel after this take the mask back to Reese, and they end up taking it to the palace above the hewn city, which, if we remember from Akamath, that's where Feyre had her little exile from the Spring Court. And they lock it away in a room that's warded by Reese, but Nesta's like, oh, I got through this ward without even thinking about it. And so they're like, oh, fuck, we need to call in reinforcements. So they bring in Helion, he's the High Lord of the
Dawn Court, yeah.
who we know is like a curse breaker, spell
Yeah.
breaker, all of these things. Enchantress. And he is helping them figure out what's wrong with the soldiers that they were able to bring in from the Autumn Court as well. They end up figuring out that actually they're under this enchantment, which shows that Briellen has the crown and used it to control them. So this means it's a race to the harp. It's an absolute race to find the fucking harp. And so Nesta obviously is going to have to scry again, which we know how she feels about that.
But she's got to heal up first.
She does. She's got to heal up. So she's healing up in the palace. And she's taking a nice bath in this like little infinity pool bath when Cassian comes in to bring her food. And he's like, oh shit, you're in the bath. Whoa. And she ends up seducing him with like the classic like slow walk out of the water. And they end up deciding to kind of like break their friends with benefits rule and like go full into sex. But they're like, it's just sex. That's it. But then they also both are like, well, it's definitely not. So it's, of course, incredibly passionate sex. And they end up like feeling things that they've never felt before. They're both like mind blown by this moment. And they end up like going away from each other, basically. And we learn that Nesta actually does want it to be more than sex, but she, of course, does not show that.
Yeah, she was kind of like, I want a little cuddle. And he was like, you said, I'm just following the rules. I actually loved this scene though, because the sex was like not normal. Like obviously they're like magical beings and like throwing each other around and stuff, but it was like a little more like realistic. And I was like, okay, this could happen in my bedroom where like Reese and Feyre are always like dangling from the ceiling by their wings and claws and like doing weird shit with their magic together. So I
That's
really appreciated that you could like be in touch with Cassian and Nesta's romance a little more.
Yeah, that's true. Although their sex is like kind of rough.
Well, I said it could happen in my bedroom.
Oh, okay. I did also really like the setup of Cassian actually being Nesta's like friend. Like he was never going in with the intention of like, oh, we're gonna have this crazy sex. It was like, oh, I really want to just check in on her because I understand how she might be feeling right now. So it didn't ever feel like they were just like mindlessly having sex all the time with each other.
Yeah, no, I agree. I really thought that this was like a great beginning of them like admitting to their love, and you can start seeing the romance blossoming. So we're back at training at the House of Wind. Crazy jump from sexual relations to girl warriors. And Cassie decides that the girls are ready to start training with weapons, but to show Nesta that she should respect the weapons, he takes her to the Illyrian war camp and goes to the blacksmith, and they basically let Nesta forge a couple of weapons, and she ends up really loving it because she can get her anger out, and it's just a form of therapy for her. So the next day, Cassian is called to the river house out of nowhere, and Nesta is not invited, and you're kind of like, okay, what's going on? And the inner circle is all there, and they inform him that the blacksmith from the Illyrian war camp showed up in a fretful state and was like, that girl is a witch and she just made these weapons of power and take them from me. And they come to find out that she's essentially made these death swords that have not been seen for thousands of years, because when she was forging the weapons, she imbued part of her power into them. And Amren is like, these are basically as powerful as the Dead Trove, which I did not understand. How could her little powerful swords open portals and control people and raise people from the dead?
Did she say they were as powerful as the Dead Trove? Or
Yes.
that they were these powerful god swords basically that had been forged before that were lost to the world?
She specifically said Nesta just made her own Dead Trove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I mean, also they don't know what they do at this point,
No. We don't really know what they do. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it was just the level of magic that Amren felt from them.
Yeah, but very interesting also. Amren was making very interesting comments. She was like, Rhys, if you had these weapons in your power, you could become the High Lord, High King of Prythian.
High King. Yeah.
The High King of Prythian. And he's like, Amren, that's not what I want. And she's like, Rhys, you gotta take it. There's a little skirmish. And I'm like, I don't know why we're all desperate for Rhys to be High King.
I know. It's they're a part of his court, of course.
I am not.
I don't know why we got this. Why not Tamlin?
Give it to Helion. Anyways, they're like, okay, we have these powerful swords on our hands right now, and are we going to tell Nesta that she has this ability or not? And I believe it's Cassian and Feyre are like, we are so telling her. She deserves to know. And Rhys and Amren's little bitch ass are like, we're not telling her. She shouldn't know she has this kind of power. I'm sorry, what?
I mean, she hasn't really proven very trustworthy up until this point.
But what do you think she was going to do? Make a bunch of magical weapons and start an army against them?
Who knows? She was literally unhinged and kind of fucking feral to them. So, and she did no work to actually control her powers or understand them, which is Amren's big thing. Yeah. And then Rhys has actually felt her power firsthand, and he's like, that is terrifying power. And if she just uses that unchecked, that could be a massive ordeal. So I understood that.
I think they're just scared because they should have been a little nicer to her now that they know she could kill them.
Wow. We know what Emily would have done with that information.
Horrible.
So after all of this, Cassian is trying to basically toe the line of, oh shit, do I tell her? Do I not? And he kind of is doing this weird thing where he's like, if you had a sword, what would you name it? And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about, Cassian?
Yeah, such a random conversation.
He's like, look, okay, I have to tell you. He broke in 4 seconds. He's like, you accidentally made these super powerful swords, and Rhys and Amren didn't really want to tell you about them. And she's like, excuse me? Why were Rhys and Amren involved in this? And he's like, well, we all voted. And she's like, fuck all of you. You are literally the worst. You're a stupid cult. And she gets so mad to the point where she runs down the entirety of the 10,000 steps if in one blow. I think she blacked out during it. She's like, I don't even remember how I got to the end of this. She goes to Amren's apartment to literally rip off her head too. She's trying to behead Amren for sure. And Feyre ends up showing up because she's frantically oh shit, I need to break up this fight that could potentially blow up this entire city. And in Nesta's complete anger, turns to Feyre and tells Feyre that the baby has wings and that she is likely to die, and so is the baby, and that everyone's been keeping it from her, and everyone voted on her the same way that they did with Nesta.
Oh, this was so tough to watch.
This entire scene, I was like, oh no, oh no. This is
Yeah.
horrific. It was one of those things where Farrah's not my favorite by any means,
Yeah.
but she did not deserve to be treated like that. Like, that was horrific. Obviously, she also should have been told by her literal fucking mate. Like, that
Right.
pissed me off so much. I was like, what in the Tamlin are you doing, Reese? Like, keeping this information about this is literal HIPAA. This is a HIPAA violation.
Yeah, like this would be in her charts.
And no one told her. Like, that was fucked up, obviously, but the way that Nesta told her was, like, clearly out of spite and, like, to hurt her and to, like,
Yeah,
make
she was
her
like,
hurt.
she was on the fray of the argument and got pulled in.
Yeah, it was really, I was like, how did Farrah just, like, catch these strays at this point? Like, it was really sad. And Amryn was like, fuck you, Nesta, like, get the fuck out.
So after this, Reese like calls into Cassian's head and is like, you better get Nesta out of this city because I'm literally going to murder her if I can get my hands on
Cassian's
her.
literally at the river house, remember? He, like,
Oh, I thought he like called into her head.
No, he flew to the river house and he was literally there when Reese, like, just heard from Farrah mind to mind.
Okay, so but anyways, Reese is like, you better get Nesta out of this city because I'm going to murder her because she just told my wife. And this is where I'm like paying attention to the other relationships and not just the sisters. I'm like, how shitty is it that Reese gets to get so mad at Nesta for letting his secret out, but he wanted to keep a secret from her?
Yeah, I agree. Like, there was, like, no guilt there from Reese. He was just like, Nesta's fucked, and that's it.
And so then Cassian's like, okay, I'm going to take her to the mountains to like rest and relax, but not really. He takes her on this like multi-day hike that is incredibly strenuous. And it's all to get to this like lake at the top that's supposed to be some sort of like revelation where if you see this lake, you like feel your true emotions and you feel like settled with your life. And at the start of the hike, Feyre's already like mind speaking to Cassian and is like, I hope everybody's okay because like I'm not actually that mad.
Which is not true. I was like, whatever, Feyre.
Yeah, but again, I was like, see, these sisters are developing. Like, let them be.
True.
They go on this brutal hike. Nesta is incredibly like self-deprecating the whole time. She's beating herself up. She's refusing to eat. She's not drinking enough water. She's like sleeping on the hard ground. And as they get to the lake, like days later, Nesta like breaks down into this like sobbing mess and finally opens up to Cassian that everything she's been feeling about her father's death, their previous relationship, that the last thing she said to him before he died, and just like carrying all of this pain around her. And Cassian comforts her and says, this isn't all your fault. You don't have to bear this on your own. You can be strong. You can fight through this. Like, this doesn't have to be your story. And it's a very big turning point for Nesta and Cassian's relationship because I think it starts like the emotional level of it all.
Yeah, definitely. Like, she starts to really lean on him and be open with him and like show all of her colors to him, and he empathizes with her in a way that I feel like really was resonant, but then also he wasn't like excusing the way that she was acting. Like, it was like, you're gonna get through this and you're gonna figure this out, but like you gotta like just keep pushing through and you gotta grow past it.
Yeah, and I guess, like, to your point, like, he was trying to give her space to come to terms with this stuff herself, but I, like, hated at first, like, how mean he was being to her on this hike. Like, he was making her carry all of the bags.
Yeah, I loved it. I think if he didn't do that, I would have been like, he's a fucking pussy. Like, what is this? Like, he can't be that golden retriever. Like, he's allowed to be like hurt by the things that she does and what she says. And like, he's allowed to be mad. So I kind of loved it. And also I was like, what she did was fucked up. Like, that was not okay. Yeah. And like, just because Feyre was just able to like forgive her all of a sudden doesn't mean that everyone else does. And you have to be accountable. You have to be held accountable when you act like a fucking dick.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. I was looking at it from a different POV. I was looking at it that Cassian was mad at her because he was so loyal to Reese. And I was like, that's just fucking annoying. Like, have your own thoughts.
I don't think so. I think that that was just objectively shitty what she did. Like, if I were in Cassian's position, I would also be doing the same thing. I'd be like, you need to fucking absolutely lay on some hard ground for like 3 nights straight for what you just did.
I would have found another way.
Okay, whatever.
I would have been like, your bath gets no bubbles tonight. I love her.
So after this, end up coming back after like a week of this hike. They like have actually a weirdly like great time with each other where they're just like having sex and like enjoying their time. And they come back, they end up continuing to train for like a couple more months. And throughout all of this, Cassian explains to the girls that he actually knew the Valkyries back in the day and he was there during their last battle, which was very tragic because literally all of them died.
Yeah.
And they realize that combined with the research that Gwyn is doing in the library and then his personal knowledge, that Cassian can actually train them like the Valkyries instead of trying to train them like Illyrians. So one of the Valkyrie tests is actually being able to cut a ribbon in half with a sword, which is something that becomes like kind of their new mission and the thing that they focus on every day. In the meantime, Nesta decides to attend one of the priestess's services because Gwyn is like sing-songing throughout the library at all times. And Nesta goes to hear Gwyn sing. And so she ends up getting lost in the music. We like learn in this book that she loves music. She has a great ear for it. She can't sing for shit, but she can like dance and she's just like really in tune with the music. And so she gets lost in this and she goes into kind of this trance state and ends up being able to visualize and find the harp. And she ends up seeing it behind the wall or behind like these like deep walls within the prison, which we know of from Akamath, from ACOTAR. They go and tell Reese and he's like, oh, fuck. Okay.
Yeah, I did
Here
not
we
think
go.
that this prison was going to make a comeback, honestly.
And here we are
Yeah.
finding the harp in the prison.
So Nesta and Cassian, of course, another mission, another Horcrux, head to the prison, and she's been given one of her magic swords to borrow from little Reese. Oof. And she easily finds this passage because she saw it in her mind so clearly. She knows exactly where it is, and she gets through, and it's warded only so that she can enter. So Cassian has to stay on the outside. And as soon as she touches this harp, she's kind of like blasted with this past memory of these children and families being trapped under this mountain and like being basically like buried. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, horrifying.
Terrible.
And she can like hear all the children's screams. And then it kind of morphs into that she's seeing Briallen, and Briallen is somehow connected to this harp through them being made. And she realizes that Nesta has the harp and that she can like talk to Nesta through this. So she's like, I know about you and your little girlfriends like learning how to fight up there, and I know you have the mask and I know you have the harp. And she's kind of like taunting her, and Nesta's obviously freaking out. So she finally disconnects herself from this vision and realizes that in all of this hubbub, she's accidentally released one of the prisoners. And it just so happens to be Lanthus, who was put there by Cassian back in the day and clearly has a vendetta. So he's like immediately on the attack and trying to kill them both. But because she has her powerful sword that we don't know all what it does yet, she's able to kill him, even though he's kind of just like this death god spirit.
Yeah, that scene was cool.
Yeah, and they like easily get out after that. I think there's actually like some enemies on the coast outside of the prison, and they're like, we just fought a death god. Like, I'm not even looking at that.
No, get out of my face. So then they go back to the river house. Nesta's telling everyone what happens, and she learns from the crew that the wild hunt, which was mentioned by Lanthus, actually traces back to the Daglin, these near god beings who enslaved the Fae and the humans, and they used these like monstrous hunts to keep them terrified and obedient. And after this Fae warrior named Fionn, he overthrew them with one of these legendary swords, these magic swords that was called Gwydion, and his betrayal and his death led to the rise of the Seven High Lords and the courts that we
Mhm.
knew today, because through using that sword, he basically became High King.
Yeah.
And so that was really interesting because we learn a lot about this like random kind of lore and history in this book that I feel like has to come back in the next book, but I feel like it's
Yeah.
just randomly kind of peppered in.
It's dropped and then never to be seen again.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously it has to be important. Like they really went into the history of this.
Yeah, true. True. So then we're approaching winter solstice, and right before the inner circle decides to dupe Eris into thinking that he wants Nesta's hand in marriage because of how powerful she is, and they desperately need his alliance. They end up being able
Yeah.
to do this because Nesta's a really good dancer, basically, and that's it. We get to winter solstice back in Valaris, and Cassian gives Nesta this beautiful, thoughtful gift, and it ends up leading to a very heated discussion between the two of them, where Nesta basically reveals that she literally does not deserve his love because he is just too good, he's too brave, and she is so awful and dark. And she knows that she's always wanted him, but she's saying this out loud. And she says that she's wanted him since the day that they met back in Akamath, which is
Aww.
very sweet. And Cassian is basically like, enough of your fucking bullshit. We will never be with anyone else. You will not marry Eris. This is us together. This isn't just sex, this is more, and that's it. And she's like, you're right. That's right. And they end
Yeah.
up spending the night together. And it's a beautiful little scene where they have their little joining and their magic is twining, and we all know what that means.
Yeah, I know. I actually was like, wait, did we know what that meant when we were first reading this, or have we just read so much romantasy that we now know the signs of a mating bond?
Maybe both. Who
I was
knows?
like, it's written in the stars, you two. I don't know how you're fighting it.
Yeah. We all know.
After they have their special night together, Cassian has to like go away for a couple of days just for some like Illyrian war camp business. And so Nesta's alone at the house of Gwyn by herself and decides to have like a magical sleepover with Emery and Gwyn. And it's so fun. Like
It was
the house
so
of
cute.
the house of Wind like sets up like this cute little vibe for them. They do bubble baths, they make friendship bracelets. Like it's very cutesy.
Yes, it was literally giving me like Princess Diary vibes when Raven Simone was like
Yes.
surfing on a mattress down the stairs.
Yes, absolutely. And they're eating giant ice cream sundaes.
Yes.
And so after their like great night together, they wake up and Cassian has set up an obstacle course in the like training arena. And they're like, what is this? And he's like, this is the next step of your training. And so they try to like conquer this obstacle course and it takes them like 2 months. So flash to 2 months later, they've completed this obstacle course. And Cassian tells them after finishing it that was actually the qualifier for the Blood Rite. So if they wanted to, they could be in the Blood Rite. Like that was all they had to do, which is obviously just like very cool to see because it's an all women fighting unit.
That's right.
That night, Nesta's like so high on her like success and all of the strength that she finally conquers all 10,000 stairs, and this time not out of anger, but just out of her own strength.
Beautiful moment. And when she gets back up to the top, Cassian is waiting for her. And he's like, the Starfall party is well underway. Let's go. And she's like, I can't walk. And so he literally like scoops her up into his arms, takes her into the party. The entire inner circle is there. And Nesta's just having all of these epiphanies. And she decides to apologize to everyone she's hurt, Amryn in particular. And it was really, really beautiful. I actually really loved that moment. Afterwards, she's like feeling all warm and fuzzy. And her and Cassian go for this like romantic walk around the city. And Cassian decides to confront her in public on why she's so scared to admit that they are mates. And they fight about it, of course, also in public. All of these like poor Fae are like, get me the fuck out of here. And she basically just reveals that she's afraid to lose her last bit of humanity, that this like Fae thing, this mate thing is just like the next thing that she's like, I just don't want to accept about my new self.
Yeah.
And so, because this isn't something that she ever asked for. So he tells her that he didn't get a choice on being shackled to her either. FYI.
He says shackled, and I was like, that is the worst word you could pick.
he immediately catches himself and he's like, poor word choice. And she's like, you said it. And so she is understandably very upset by that. And she calls in her favor that they had set with their bargain, like at the beginning of the book. She demands that he leaves her and goes to the House of Wind for the whole night. And he cannot speak to her for a full week unless she comes to talk to him or unless a full week has passed. And so he's like, shit, I gotta go. And so he gets out of there and she ends up having Moore winnow her to Emery's house. And Emery is like very sweet and takes care of her. And Moore ends up bringing Gwyn with too. So Nesta, Gwyn, and Emery like end up spending the night together. And Nesta ends up waking up to someone in her room and something wet is placed over her mouth. And she is basically like knocked out unconscious.
Which this is tough because this is Gwyn's first time leaving the House of Wind, like leaving the library since her original attack. And I'm like, first night out and she gets attacked again.
This poor girl, again, every time Nesta complains in front of her, I'm like, do you just look around.
You could be Gwyn. You could be Gwyn.
You could be Gwyn. Read the room.
So Nesta wakes up from being unconscious and she's surrounded by a bunch of unconscious Illyrian men and she realizes, oh shit, I'm in the Blood Rite. And so are Gwyn and Emery. Oh my god. They obviously did not agree to this. This has happened under guise. And we must remember that the law is that anyone who pulls into the Blood Rite, who goes into the Blood Rite to like save somebody that's been there because they think they're in danger, will also be executed. So will the person in the Rite, and not even Rhys can break this rule. So there's like no saving these women. Like they just have got to survive the week that this is going to take.
Horrible.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, while this is all happening, Eris has all of a sudden been captured by Briallen. So Cassian and, of course, terrible timing.
I'm like, he's the worst.
He's the worst. I'm like, why are we even talking to this guy still? And so Cassian and Azriel have to go save him because he obviously knows way too many of the Night Court secrets. So that is like a side quest along with the girls being in the Blood Rite, and basically for the next like however many pages it like ping pongs back and forth between them.
So Nesta, we're back in the Blood Rite, and Nesta successfully fights off her first Illyrian, and she realizes that the friendship bracelets that they made on the sleepover have a little token on them that shine towards where the other girls are. So she realizes that it's going to point her to Emery and Gwyn, and so she follows the first direction first. She finds Emery, who has jumped into a river to save herself from a group of Illyrian men that were trying to attack her, basically. They, like, get together, heal up, and they're like, we gotta go get Gwyn next. They find Gwyn after they have been duped by Emery's cousin Bellius, who like hung Gwyn's nightie on the tree to make them think that they had her. And so the men are attacking Nesta and Emery, and then all of a sudden this wildcat comes out of nowhere and starts attacking the men, and there's Gwyn behind it like, girls, over here! And she had never been caught, and they had led the wildcat to the camp. So all three ladies get away unharmed.
Woof, we love this for them. So they're reunited and now they're feeling a lot more brave. They're like, we can fucking do this. And so they start hiking towards Ramiel, which is the big mountain with like the three-pointed star. And for a few days, they end up not running into anyone else. They're making good time. They make it to the base of Ramiel before a group of Illyrian soldiers end up catching up to them. They actually end up getting away, but in the midst of all this kerfuffle, Emery and Gwyn are down bad. And honestly, through all of this, I was like, I have been fully convinced to not only get my ass to the gym, but also to start meditating. Like, the way that these girls are like mid-battle, about to like lose their lives, and that they're just like doing the mind-stilling thing, and they're like, okay, all good. I was like,
yeah. I definitely need a self-defense course, because if I was in any of these situations, I'm not quite sure I'd be making it out.
I would be dead on the spot. No question.
Also, amidst like all of this fighting and getting away and fighting and getting away, they like finally pause to take a rest and be like, okay, we're injured. Let's like heal up. And they decide to like finally release all of their traumas to each other. So Gwyn shares her story of being brutally raped and watching her sister get murdered right in front of her. Emery shares her story of her incredibly abusive father that clipped her wings and took her like greatest love from her of flying. And then we get to Nesta, who just like continues to share that she's like really disappointed in herself and how she has reacted. And I did not want to judge traumas, but I was like really confused about how Nesta thought that added up to what was just shared by her best friend.
It was a really tough comparison, but I was like, okay, Nesta had a really toxic mom. She was like really put in boxes from a young age. Like she was traumatized by this Tom guy. She was traumatized by the war. She watched her dad die. She had stuff going on, but to your point, it was just like a really tough follow-up. Like I kind of wish that she went first instead of last.
Yes, 100%. It was just like a little bit more minor than what some of the world's going through.
Yes. So speaking of champagne problems, back at the mission to save fucking Eris, Cassian and Azriel have actually caught up to them and they think they're just scouting, but Eris actually ends up sneaking behind Cassian and captures him. And they realize that he's actually being controlled by the crown. And both Cochet and Brialyn end up revealing themselves. And Brialyn tells them that she has need for Cassian and winnows away with him, gets out of there.
And now we're back in the Blood Rite, and the girls are still hiking, but they're starting to get gained on by a group of Illyrian men who has no other than Bellius in their midst. And they're kind of moving too slow because they've been so injured. And so Nesta's like, girls, you can make it to the top if I hold the line. So she's like, I'm going to stay back. You two get out of here. And she starts to fight hand-in-hand combat with Bellius, and she says, my mate taught me well.
Ugh, I love a hold the line moment.
I love a hold the line moment. Like, I just got chills even saying it.
It's just so good every time.
And then to combine the hold the line moment with the her mate moment, I was like, boom, boom, boom.
So just when Bellius is like, he's winning, by the way. He's like literally about to, she gets most spirited award, but maybe not the strongest, which is okay. So Bellius is like literally about to like bash her skull in. She's like, goodbye, cruel world. And he ends up getting killed from behind by Cassian. And we're all like, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be here. What the fuck are you doing? You've broken the rules. But then we come to realize that it's actually worse than that. He's being controlled by the crown and he's being told to kill Nesta by Brialyn.
Horrible! Romeo and Juliet.
Truly. So Brialyn admits that she has set up this entire scheme. She wanted Nesta to look for the trove so that she could figure it out. Then she brought Nesta to the right to bring her down and wear down her powers to the point where her magic was like super weak. And then she was going to attack her to get the trove for herself. And all the while Brialyn's just on her like stupid monologue, Cassian is fighting the lure of the crown because his love is so deep for Nesta that he's able to fight it and turn the knife on himself to kill himself first.
I was like sweating. My armpits are sweating. My hands are sweating. Like everything was just so quick at this moment.
It was like, this is all happening in the span of like 5 pages. And this causes Nesta's magic to literally explode. She's like remaking worlds. Like it's a whole deal. Yeah. And she literally blasts Brialyn into full ashes.
Yeah, and so Cassian somehow gets away unharmed from this blast. Like the love must have protected him, I'm guessing. Brialyn is unmade, no longer there to cause problems, and Nesta finally accepts and says out loud to Cassian that he is her mate, and they kiss and they're rejoicing. This lasts a very short time because Mor and Azriel appear out of nowhere and they're like, something's wrong with Feyre, and they get rushed back to the river house.
Oof. Okay, so we get back to the river house and, Nesta might need a break at this point, but she's not getting one because Feyre is dying. The baby is coming early. They decide to cut the baby out of Feyre, even though they know that they're going to lose her and Rhys because of this pact that they made in book 3. But they get get there, and Feyre's like, no, you have to get this baby out. I don't care what you have to do. I don't care what happens to me. I don't care what happens to Rhys, too, apparently. And
Yeah.
so this is all happening. Feyre is like breaths away from death, and Nesta puts on the crown and the mask while she's holding the harp. And turns out no one has ever wielded all three and lived, but Nesta does. And so she ends up plucking the final string of the harp, which is the 26th string, and that is time itself. And Nesta ends up stopping time as Feyre is taking her final breath.
And sensing the death around Feyre, Rhys, and the baby who is born stillborn, Nesta bargains with the cauldron, offering back all the power she stole from it as long as she can save her family. So she kind of like shields her Feyre with her own body and like pours this light into Feyre, and a kernel of the light goes onto the baby. And when it's over, she wakes up and she's covered in a like dark tattoo marking from the cauldron that shows that she's sealed a bargain.
Oof. Feyre ends up waking up and she's alive and she's no longer bleeding. She's like fully healed. And during that whole escapade with the cauldron, Nesta tells Feyre that she loves her. And Nesta basically has like never told anyone in her entire life that she's loved them. And so Feyre wakes up and she immediately is like, I love you too. And the sound of the baby's wail fills the room. The baby's totally fine. Rhys is fine. And Nesta actually was very considerate and made sure to essentially rearrange Feyre's lady parts so that she had Illyrian anatomy, so this could literally never happen again.
Yeah.
And
the fact that she was able to make that decision amongst that trauma was actually crazy.
I was like, okay, this is a little interesting, but fine. Rhys falls to his knees in front of Nesta and thanks her for saving Feyre, for saving his family, and Rhys and Feyre end up naming their son Nyx.
Interesting. I did not understand that name fully.
I didn't either.
It was giving Renesmee.
It was.
I was like, you all like, there was just so many choices.
Truly, a lot happening at once.
So once Nesta has like sacrificed literally every ounce of her energy to the last 12 chapters of this book, she is taken to Emery and Gwyn, who are waiting at the house, and they are completely healed. The stone from the Rite healed them as soon as it took them out of the Rite. And then Cassian comes to find her, asks her if her power is really gone, and she goes, I don't know if it is. I think some of it might still remain, which is crazy.
Wow.
She says she thinks that something stopped the cauldron from taking it all. And in this trauma where she changed Feyre's anatomy, she also decided to change her own anatomy so that if her and Cassian ever decide to have a baby, the same thing won't happen to her.
Wild. Just wild.
It really wasn't. I mean, it was necessary, like...
Yeah, but
for them
I don't know.
Yeah.
It just really felt like that was tossed in, but I digress.
Like, maybe there could have been, like, a medical advancement in the Fae world instead of, like, this.
Yeah, just, like, this magical, powerful, like, bandage to the whole story, but whatever. So then he asks her what she wants, and she's like, all I want is you. You're it for me. And she's like, you've had me from the moment that we met. And they have this, like, beautiful romantic moment. And she's like, actually, I do want an overtly fancy mating ceremony. And she finally tells Cassian that she loves him.
Aww.
Very cute.
And they get some, like, very special, like, mating ceremony wedding gifts. So Rhys decides to gift them the House of Wind, which I think we can all agree is very much theirs at this point.
Yes.
And then finally, Feyre gives Nesta a painting, what everybody's been waiting for.
The gift everyone's desperate for in this book.
And it's a portrait of Nesta at the pass of Annalise holding the line. Why am I tearing up?
See, this book will get you. Why did I picture the mating ceremony that they were setting up as the Beckham wedding? You know, when Victoria Beckham
when they wore the purple
outfits.
100%. Like, this was not going to be like, tasteful, I don't think.
No.
I think that it was going to be incredibly gaudy.
They were going to be in purple outfits, and Cassian was going to be wearing a crown. Not Nesta, but Cassian.
The book ends with a very sweet scene. All three sisters have gone to visit their father's grave before Nesta's mating ceremony. And this is the first time that Nesta has ever gone to see it. And she places a small carved rose that she had found at their old cottage that he had whittled away on his grave, and then thanks her father and gives herself forgiveness.
Oh,
The end.
the end. What a beautiful ending
Very
to the
sweet.
book. Wow. Okay. So, I mean, this book was thick. I think it was like almost 800 pages. So,
Yeah, like it was
wow.
hurting my wrist to hold this book.
Oof, yeah, absolutely. So this ends the series. I am very interested in what your top 5 characters are and
Yeah.
if they changed from the first time that you read this.
100%. And I wish I could go back in a good spirits fashion and talk to my past self, because I don't think that I fully absorbed the trio friendship for some reason the first time. Like the first time
Oh,
I read it,
really?
I think I was really entranced by the Cassian Nesta love story. And I was
Oh,
also
yeah.
still drinking the Feyre Reese Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I gave these girls what they actually deserved. And this time around, I was like, this is their book.
I think I was actually the reverse this time around.
Oh.
Like the first time, it was the friendship that really, really got me. But then this time around, I think Cassian became my new bad boyfriend. Like, I was such a Reese gal before this. And like after reading this again, I was like, oh my God, like this guy is it for me.
Sound the
I love
alarms.
him. I love him.
Oh my God, this is music to my soul.
I know. I don't know. I think I appreciated him in a very different way this time. Where
Yeah.
again, before I think I was just really, really loving the friendship. I was loving the, the self-love and all of that stuff. And this time around, I was like, wow, their romance was actually also really beautiful. So
Yeah. Actually, so I think my number one character is actually Cassian, which I think
oh my God, that was gonna be mine.
Yeah, which is a surprise because you would think it was Nesta, but
No.
Cassian is such a steady force in this book.
Yeah.
He is although he has his moments where he's
Yeah.
not sure of his courtier duties, he is a very sure person, and just who he is, what he wants out of life,
Yeah.
and he shows love and support and friendship just in the clearest, most genuine way.
Yeah, I think he's one of the more well-rounded characters that she put in this series. Like, he is just so multifaceted in so many different ways. And from the beginning, he's been very consistent. On the surface, been the funny, fun, lighthearted guy. But then it's you continue to get to know him throughout the books and you realize he just has so much depth. And it's I would love to know what his EQ actually is because I feel it's literally through the roof.
Yeah.
It's just unreal. So yeah, I don't know. I think I just really liked the way that she wrote him, obviously, in this book, but after rereading the whole series, you can just see how consistent his thread is. He is one of the only other standout characters where I would be this series would not be the same without him.
Incredibly consistent character. I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. So number 1 is Cassian. We really blew up our spot there.
I know.
I was maybe we'll start with 5.
Oh, I wanted to go 1 down, I guess.
Number 2. What's your number 2?
Number 2 is I'm sure you can guess Nesta, but she would have been my number 1 the first time around. And like you said, the self-love is really there and really apparent. And I was still emotionally moved by her whole journey.
Yeah.
But I can see the people that helped her along the way a little bit more this time around.
Agreed. Yeah, I think mine is also Nesta for very similar reasons. And I also just think that she was written in also such a dynamic way where she starts out in this way where you have a completely different perspective on her and then you end with a very different perspective on her. And I really enjoyed just watching that. My 3 is Reese.
Oh, God.
Love him or hate him, this series would not be anything without him. So that's just a fact. And I also really, really enjoyed the seeing a different side of him from someone else's point of view who wasn't like enamored with him or like didn't bow down to him. And I think I really like these like imperfect characters, you know? Like I liked that we kind of saw some of his dark side in this, and I feel like we're going to keep seeing that. And I don't know, I really enjoy that. There's just so much to him and so much to his character, and I feel like we're literally just scratching the surface even though the first like 4 books were about him.
See, I don't know if I agree. Like, I don't think his evil side was like endearing or like multifaceted. Like, I think he's actually going to be evil.
I think so too, and I love that.
Ah, she loves the villain. Of course she does.
I think it's amazing. It's like, why would he just be this like all powerful, like kind being consistently? Like, I don't know, that's boring.
I don't know. I
I
just
think
like
it's more fun.
decided that I don't really appreciate how he was talking to women either.
How is he talking to women?
I don't know. He's just like telling them how it's going to be.
I disagree. Every time he spoke to a woman, it was kindly, and he was like, whatever we do, it's your choice. And that was it.
Okay, so I think that my number 3 is going to have to be Azriel. And I think that I loved him throughout all of these books, but I also am thinking forward because I am like all of the sudden very focused in on what his storyline is and like what his future is, because I think similar to Cassian, he's been a very consistent character throughout all of these books. Like he is always that person that's like consistently there supporting. He plays his role, but he's always kind and compassionate. And I think that we are about to watch him bloom and blossom, and it's going to make me love him even more.
Interesting. Okay. All right. My 4th is Feyre for sure. I just like, I don't know. It's like, again, love her or hate her, but like she also had like a lot of character development and growth. And like, I think by the end, I wasn't like annoyed with her. Like I actually kind of appreciated like how she treated the Nesta situation. I feel like she was like really keeping Rhys in check. Like she wasn't just like this drooly lovesick puppy over him. Like she very much was like, no, I'm the fucking high lady of the night court and I'm going to act like it, you know? So like, I don't know. I like how her story wrapped up. I appreciated it.
I agree. She's my number 4 as well because of exactly what you said. Like, I think this book really saved her. She like stepped into her own power, her own relationships with her family, like outside of Rhys. And I really loved her in book 1 and I loved her in this book. And I'm going to try to forget what happened in between.
Black it all out. I think my number 5 is probably Amren.
Okay.
I just love her. Like, she's just such a, like, bad bitch and just, like, has never not been. Like, even when she lost all of her powers, people are, like, still terrified of her.
No, I agree with you. Like, she could have been in mine, too, for the same reason that Azriel was. Like, I think that her story could really bloom.
Yeah, I agree. So I love her. So she's a strong 5 for me. I'm like, no matter what, Amren should be in these stories.
I do think that my number 5 is Rhys because even though I hated him, I'm going to black out this book and black out like half of ACOTAR because A Court of Mist and Fury was quite literally upheld by this man. And that is
magic.
The truth. And I wish that magic would have stayed for me throughout the rest of them, but I will give him his flowers for book 1 and 2.
Okay, I'm proud of you. That's showing some good character development for Emily, too.
I learned this from Nesta.
Okay, so let's get into ACOTAR 6 and what we think might happen. And I think that we need to, like, actually place some, like, high-stakes bets on what we think.
Okay, like, the main big question is, what is ACOTAR 6 going to be about? So this is, like, the highest stake, and I have my bet.
Okay, what's your bet?
Whoever gets this right has to fly to the other person's city.
I love that. Okay, but what if we have the same guess?
We have to get specific.
Okay. All right.
So,
I like that.
Like mine, so there were some bonus chapters. You can read them online. But one of them is specific to Azriel's relationship with Elain and Gwyn. And
Mm.
that his powers and his emotions are drawn to both, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
And I really believe the main storyline is going to be about Azriel
Yeah.
as it pertains to his life and him trying to figure out the Gwyn Elain situation.
Okay.
And I think that there's going to be a underlying story of something with Tamlin.
Okay. What's
I
with
do
Tamlin?
like that Tamlin is going to be drawn back to the court and possibly get entangled with all of this love story as well
That's not specific enough.
with Elaine.
Okay, there you go.
I do not think that Moore is going to get her story in this book. I think it's going to be a separate book.
Okay.
Your turn.
You go. Okay, so I think a lot of the same. I don't think it's going to be like Azriel's POV. I think if it's a POV, it's going to be Elaine's. Um,
Oh.
and yeah, because it's like we followed Feyre and then we followed Nesta. But what was interesting about Silver Flames was this was all written from the third person.
Mm.
And so even though it focused on Nesta and Cassian, and so I feel like maybe she'll take a similar approach, but focusing on Elain and Azriel. And then I agree. I think there's going to be some conflict for Azriel on like how he already feels about Elain, but then maybe some entanglement with Gwyn.
Okay.
And I think that there is going to be a reckoning between Lucien and Azriel over Elain.
Okay.
And
Damn it, why did I leave that part out?
I think that the Spring Court is going to win out because I similarly think that Tamlin is going to get involved. But I don't know that there's going to be like a romance that's revealed there yet. Like it maybe like we'll tease it.
Mm.
But I do think that Elain is going to be like brought to the Spring Court.
Okay.
And then I think that the book is going to start to tease a more story as well. And I think that that story is going to be with Emery.
You think it's going to be in this book?
I think it's going to be teased. Like
Okay.
similar to how like Cassian and Nesta started getting teased in like ACOTAR and in the Christmas special.
Okay. Do you really not think that it's going to be from Azriel's POV after the bonus chapter was from his POV?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Draw your line. Hold the line.
I'm holding the line, baby. Paint me, Feyre.
So like very different vibes, I think, actually.
Oh, I thought they were pretty similar.
No, because like I was painting mine as a lot of like a love story, and yours is more of like a court dynamics.
I think that she's like kind of due for that after Silver Flames.
True.
So, and they've been like teasing this big war with like Crochet and whatever. So
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a big element to it. One other bet that I have, which might be a hot take, is, and if I get this right, then I'm trying to think. Then Emily has to drink a glass of rosé.
Not the migraine that's gonna come with that. Not the migraine. That's just cruel.
Sorry. It was either that or a gallon of milk.
Oh my god. Oh, I could throw up. Actually, I'll take the migraine.
So people like really think that there's going to be like some Throne of Glass crossover in ACOTAR 6. And I don't think that.
Okay. Do you not think there's going to be a crossover with anything? Like, do you think it's just going to be an ACOTAR book?
Yeah.
Okay. I can see that because there's so much shit happening. But I think Go ahead.
There would have to be some mentions of like what happened in Crescent City, realistically. But
Unless
I don't
it's on a
think
different timeline.
Sure. But like, I don't think that it would be something where it's like the Throne of Glass characters are like showing up in ACOTAR 6 in the way that like Nesta and Azriel were in Crescent City.
I think there's going to be a crossover. And I don't know that
Okay.
I can confidently say it's going to be Throne of Glass. I guess I want it to be. I'm desperate for it. But I think that the war with Koschei and the Autumn Court is going to probably happen in the last third of this book.
Okay.
And there is going to be people that show up from the other series.
Okay, what's your bet on that?
The bet is what you have to do?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something you hate. You have to eat 10 Reese's cups.
Oh, gosh.
10 of them.
10. Oh, that's tough.
With no water.
That is cruel.
Your mouth would be so dry. Even though you hate chocolate and peanut butter, your mouth would also be dry.
And Happy New Year. Emily and I have had the best time dreaming and believing in ourselves and allowing ourselves to think about what's next in our lives that doesn't just kind of follow our conventional little path. And you guys have enabled us to do that. So thank you. Thank you to anyone listening who's supported us, any of the things. We appreciate you. And we hope that you're going into 2026 feeling excited, feeling revved up, feeling hopefully rested. We are cooking up some very fun stuff for 2026. So stay tuned. And we will see you same time, same place. Bring your blankets, bring your book boyfriends, and we'll see you then.